I will start off with just a summary of activity of the past week. On December 17th and 18th, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, as you have well noted, together with his delegation, traveled to Istanbul, Turkey to attend the 3rd Turkey-Africa Partnership Summit. On the sidelines of the summit, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed also met with President Erdogan of the Republic of Turkey, in which both discussed the continuing strengthening of relations between Ethiopia and Turkey. As you may recall, in late August 2021, an official state visit had been undertaken, marking the 125th relations between the two countries, the historic relations, and at this event in which key cooperation agreements had also been signed. During the summit, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed also underlined the multifaceted engagements between Turkey and African countries in the areas of agriculture, education, trade. And when it comes to the bilateral level on bilateral front, he also emphasized the opportunities that are available for further enhancing trade ties and investments between Ethiopia and Turkey. Moving on to the second point of today's briefing on humanitarian response update in the northern part of the country. Just to give you a very short summary of information that has been received from the National Disaster Risk Management Commission. In Amhara region, following the recent military activities against TPLF, the government has distributed 1,316 quintals of food to Waldia, Qobo and Mersa Waradas in North Wallo zone. 31,000 or close to 32,000 quintals of food to Ataye, Efrata, Ansokia, Shoarobit, Minzgara Waradas and in North Shawa zone. More than 9,000 quintals of food have also been sent off or dispatched to Bati, Artum Fursi, Dawe, Harawa, Jiltimuga, Dawe Chafa Waradas in Oromia zone of the Amhara region. And close to 22,000 quintals of food or different kind of food supplies have been dispatched to Gashana, Lalibela, Wadella and Lasta Waradas. This is for the Amhara region. In the Afar region, it has been noted, and we've indicated before that the needs have also been increasing in these two regions. Particularly in the Afar region, more than 1.3 million people have been identified as in need of emergency or immediate emergency response, and close to 400,000 have been displaced as a result of TPLF's incursions within 21 waradas. So the government, together with partners, has continued helping those in conflict-affected areas. In Tigray region, the most recent update that I have is that a total of 225 trucks have, as of recent, arrived into the Tigray region with humanitarian supplies that have arrived into Mekelle, and a total of around 9,300 metric tons of food and non-food items have been delivered. To share a little bit on the current state of play, as we have seen in recent weeks, the National Defense Forces, together with allied forces from the Afar region and the Amhara region, have made considerable gains in reversing the occupation by TPLF of many Amhara and Afar towns. These gains have been made in very heavy battles that have been undertaken over the past weeks. Most recent being the full clearing of TPLF from North Wallo zone and liberating its strategic capital, Waldia. The aftermath of TPLF's occupation has unfortunately revealed tremendous destruction of public and private infrastructure. In the last briefing, after Kombolcha and Dese had been liberated, some of you had also inquired to the level of destruction, and at that point in time it was too early. But after control of the towns by the national forces, assessments have revealed that the looting and destruction by TPLF includes heavy destruction of health infrastructures in all areas occupied by TPLF. So it seems quite targeted that they're going for health infrastructures and creating an environment in which the Amhara and Afar regions do not have capacity to be able to treat the health needs of their communities. The second areas of attacks or sector of attacks has been education institutions. Particularly Wallo University has sustained a lot of damages, which will take a lot of budgetary support as well as a lot of time to reinstate the teaching capabilities. Other sites that have also been attacked by TPLF include religious institutions and cultural centers. Kombolcha as an industry hub has also been rendered inoperable, or the industry center at this point in time. And this has witnessed the thorough theft and destruction by TPLF of industry sites, including within the industry park, as well as other factories as well in that town. Another point of attack, targeted attacks, has been the destruction of public documents in financial and legal institutions, so thereby erasing data that is, or government data that would be enabling various sectors or government sectors to provide requisite support to members of those communities, based on, or to provide these services based on these documentations. As we have also witnessed in liberated areas, communities that had been displaced due to TPLF's violence are slowly starting to return back into their locales, and there's multifaceted efforts that are being made and mobilized to reinstate them back fully into these communities, and for rehabilitation and rebuilding work to commence. A fourth item of briefing for today is we recall that at the end of last week, the United Nations Human Rights Council in Geneva had endorsed a resolution titled Human Rights Situation in Ethiopia, which was drafted and tabled mainly by the member states from the European Union. The resolution decided to establish an international commission of human rights experts with a mandate to conduct investigation into allegations of human rights violations. You will also recall that Ethiopia has rejected the resolution from its inception, not only when it was adopted, but the entire process that was taken is something that Ethiopia has categorically rejected. Also, friendly African countries as well as other friendly countries have also joined by giving a no vote to this. Particularly here, we want to emphasize that this rejection on the part of the government of Ethiopia should not be misconstrued as a rejection of probes or efforts to address human rights violations within the country. It should not be taken as that, because that is the dominant narrative that is being spun at the moment. Rather, the resolution is, or the Ethiopian government acknowledges that the resolution is a politically motivated instrument that is set to discredit efforts undertaken prior and recommendations that had been put forth already by the joint UN Human Rights Office and the Ethiopian Human Rights Commission in their investigation report. You would recall that sometime in end of March 2021, there was a joint investigation that had been endorsed by the government and had been facilitated by the government for the UN body at that point in time, together with the Ethiopian Human Rights Commission, to undertake this joint investigation. This was facilitated by the government because it was fully endorsed for the need to happen. Once the report was finalized and it came out in early November, this report was also accepted by the government, with reservations, of course, because of the scope, the limitations with regards to the scope of coverage of this report. Nevertheless, the Prime Minister as well as the federal government took it upon them to rally behind this report and endorsed some of the findings and made sure that a remedial process was launched. This remedial process entailed an interministerial task force to be formed that is currently looking into the implementation aspect of it. So while these processes are already in play, it doesn't make any sense to rally behind new investigations that are looking into the same period as the recent investigation, simply because some did not get the results that they had anticipated. We do recall that the previous report outright rejected these accusations and allegations of a genocide having taken place. The utilization of famine or starvation as a weapon of war was something that was found inconclusive in the previous report. So because this is not something that had settled well with some bodies, to reinitiate a similar process, in essence, is abusing international norms and resources to undertake a redundant activity. So in this regard, the Council should first recognize the efforts of the government to address the alleged human rights violations to garner results for a political agenda. It should accept a joint investigation report and appreciate the efforts of the government to address issues based on the recommendations. And the council should stop its double standard position on human rights violations in Tigray vis-a-vis Amhara and Afar regional states, where we have seen vast amounts of human rights abuses and atrocities committed by the TPLF. Moving to the final point for today's briefing, I just want to draw your attention to December 10th, 2021, where the Council of Ministers had endorsed a draft proclamation for the formation of a National Dialogue Commission. So following the outcome of the 6 national elections and the formation of a new government, one of the commitments made has been to create a homegrown, inclusive space to address various contestations that have not only risen over the past 3 years, but have existed within the political history or the modern political history of the country. So resultantly, the Council of Ministers' decision to form a National Dialogue Commission is testament to this commitment that had been made upon the formation of the new government. The National Dialogue Commission is envisaged to be an independent democratic institution with reporting lines to the House of People's Representatives and acting with an independent mandate to bridge differences and chart an inclusive way forward for national understanding and alignment on contested issues. Yesterday, the Legal, Justice and Democracy Affairs Standing Committee of the House of People's Representatives undertook a consultation with various stakeholders to garner inputs to the draft proclamation. And some of the main duties of this body, as has been underlined or shared within the proclamation, is identifying agenda items that would contribute to national consensus, identifying stakeholders that would need to participate in this national dialogue, convening the dialogue platforms themselves, crafting implementation processes for recommendations coming out of the national dialogue, and then follow up on implementation plans. The draft proclamation is expected to pass in the coming weeks, and this will inevitably open up another phase in Ethiopia's democratization process, anchored in inclusivity and addressing these contestations in an Ethiopian form and manner. So with these quick short updates, I will open it up to any questions that you may have. We'll start on this side with Iskander, and I'll come to you, Fasika.
Thank you very much, Bildani. You talked about battles fought to defeat and repel TPLF forces from Afar and Amhara regions. But in recent statements, TPLF leaders insisted their forces remained undefeated and just withdrew from Amhara and Afar regions. I was wondering if you could comment on this and also on the take of the international community on this TPLF arguments. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Skander. On the TPLF retreat, I guess those in the international community and media who choose to amplify TPLF's narrative have got their own agenda for doing so. Nevertheless, I think there is an open invitation for those that want to go and document, particularly from the international media, as has been facilitated in many parts of liberated areas, to go document and discuss with those that have witnessed the intense battles, what had transpired as well. So I wouldn't just leave it to a statement that has been issued by an organization deemed a terrorist organization. I think Ethiopia and its heroic forces do not need external validation, as Ethiopians know the sacrifices that have been paid and the challenges that had been countered in order to gain the current status quo, as well as the setbacks that TPLF has encountered. But more importantly, I think in that argument, the TPLF will have to face and respond to mothers within the Tigray region who have sent off their sons and daughters thinking that they would come back. How will they respond, when they have sent them in droves for a senseless conflict that they have engaged in? So these are questions that they will have to account to, and the current, noise with regards to whether it's a strategic retreat or not will inevitably reveal itself. But again, I want to draw your attention to just something that had transpired within the recent past, which is number one, the claims that they had also seized Gashana again. So if this was a force that was strategically retreating, there was a lot of noise coming out from their end and rhetoric coming out from their end that they had recently seized Gashana. The other one is evidence that you have also seen of heavy infrastructure damages and a lot of other battles that they have engaged in over the past few days as well. And then again, the rhetoric of, we're about to take Addis, we're almost reaching there, is something that just recently transpired. So again, within that context, this strategic retreat narrative is open for other people who are more inquisitive and want to get to the bottom of it. Fasika?
Thank you, Bilani, for the briefing and the opportunity as well. My first question is, after retaking all the areas in Afar and the Amhara region, what's the next strategic military goal of the latest operation led by Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed? The second one is regarding the latest initiative by the government, informing the National Dialogue Commission. And one of the aim of this commission, according to the draft proclamation, says that laying out a foundation for national consensus and building a state with strong legitimacy. So in order to achieve this goal, does this process include amending the